My name is Peter Harris. I am from Maisey, Harris & Co. We are chartered accountants here in Hamilton. Please don't hold that against us. We do all that boring stuff for tax returns, financial statements, GST returns, etc. We also try and do the sexier side of accounting as well. We do a lot of business planning. I've got Craig Smith here today. This is Craig over here. Hello, Craig. Craig is probably the smart one. He's not actually a chartered accountant. He's an ex-business owner and mortgage broker. And so he's doing Maisey Harris. He's really helping us ramp up the advisory side of our business. So I guess just a little bit about us. Our core purpose is what we call pedal to the metal. And for us, what that means is it's not just helping clients understand their tax and how much tax they've got to pay. We want to partner with our clients. We want to be in their co-pilot. We want to help them achieve their goals, whatever their goals may be. Often we see it coming down to they want more money, financial freedom. They want more time back, and that's probably actually the one we see more so than money is clients, business owners wanting more time back to spend with their families or to do the things that they love. And the last one is they want more mind freedom or less stress. So we've got a bunch of services, business planning, and coaching, and cash flow forecasting, and things that we really try and help our clients achieve those goals, and we want to partner with them to do that. And Craig's been doing a lot of that since he's come on board, and getting a lot of good results with clients as well. So thank you all for coming. When I walked in and I saw there was a wine tasting next door, I thought we were going to be hard pressed to get anybody in here. I considered going over there myself, to be honest. Yeah, cash flow and budgeting or wine tasting. But here we are, so thank you very much for coming. I do appreciate your time. So we always like to keep our core values front and centre. We've got a pretty strong set of core values at Maisey Harris & Co. We developed them as a team about 4 or 5 years ago now, and they haven't changed. So they're family, gratitude, momentum, leading, and walk the talk. If you're a business owner and you haven't got your own set of core values, or you haven't visited them, or you're not living into them, it's a hugely valuable exercise to get your team on board and developing core values. And they're essentially a framework for how you operate, how you work, how you deal with each other, how you deal with customers and suppliers, etc., etc. So I guess today for us, it's all about leading. We're trying to deliver the most relevant and up-to-date information to help you guys in your businesses. And it's about walking the talk as well. So everything we talk about today, if we tell you that you should be doing something, then we're doing it in our business. If we say you should be having a business plan or a cash flow forecast, we do that in our business. So it's all about walking the talk for us as well. So that's a little bit about us. We are here today to talk about cash flow and budgeting, and if you've ever been to a Maisey Harris & Co. sort of webinar or seminar before, we always love to have a good thought for the session. So today's thought that we've come up with is, the fact is that one of the earliest lessons I learned in business was that the balance sheet and income statements are fiction, cash flow is reality. Does that resonate with anybody? I'm going to ask a few questions today, so I'm going to want you guys to give me a little bit of something. Has anybody ever been to who are business owners in the room? Sorry. Yep, of course we've got a few business owners in the room. I know this happens, I've seen it before. Has anybody here, you've gone to your accountant to take you through your financial statements to get to the bottom line, you've got a good healthy profit, which is awesome. Woohoo, you might even have a bit of tax to pay on that profit. But you're sort of sitting there going, well, hang on, where's the cash? Because that $200, $300, $400, $100,000 of profit is certainly not in the bank account. You're laughing, Quinton. Can you resonate with that, or? Yeah. Yeah.
Could also.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't believe this.
Yeah. So quite common. That's what, sorry?
It's like, stop lying to me.
Yeah. So balance sheets and income statements are fiction, cash flow is reality. Profit and cash are two very different things. And so today is all about challenging you guys as business owners and the others in the room who may be employees to understand the cash flow cycles in your businesses better, and hopefully challenging you to take one or two little tactics or little strategies out of today that you can take back into your businesses, whether you own it or whether you're employed, to help improve the cash flow and the cash flow cycles within your business. So we've got 5 principles here. We're going to refer back to these a little bit as we go. So the first principle there, without cash, your business will not survive. Okay, it sounds pretty obvious, but cash is obviously the lifeblood of any business. It's like the oxygen that we breathe. If we don't have cash, we're not going to survive. And as accountants, haven't seen it peaks, but have had the unfortunate circumstances where you do see sometimes a very profitable or a profitable business can fail because they don't have the cash flow there. Number two, you need to understand your key cash flow drivers. So if profit and cash are two different things, we need to understand what is driving that profit to turn into cash or to not turn into cash in some situations, and how can we pull those levers to get more cash in our business. Sometimes I like to think about a startup business. Startup businesses can be very cash hungry, right? They need a lot of, and every business needs working capital, but a startup business in particular needs a lot of working capital. And working capital is exactly that. It's capital, or it's money that we need to have working for us and for our business. If you think about that startup sort of a business, you know, they need to pay for overheads, their rent or their lease or whatever it is. They need to pay for wages. They might need to buy stock. They might need to turn that into finished products and market that and sell it. And they need to do all of these things before that cash then comes back into their business, hopefully with a little bit of profit. So there's a large amount of cash or working capital that is often required. Managing cash flow, so it's all about your business processes, okay? So I'm going to talk about some of these, but things like how do you invoice your customers? When do you invoice them? What are your terms of trade? When do your customers pay you? How do you make sure that they're following those terms of trade? How do you purchase inventory or stock? How do you pay your suppliers? There's a lot of processes that go into making sure we're turning profit into cash, and we'll go into that in a bit more detail as well. Number four, so treating the symptoms of poor cash flow without fixing underlying causes is very time consuming and frustrating. So some of the business owners in the room, I'm sure, have been in this situation. We've seen it with clients. Perhaps they've got to the end of their overdraft, or they're hopefully not quite got to the end, but maybe they're getting close, and they're going and knocking on the bank's door, and they're asking for an extension on their overdraft, or they're asking for more money. Now, one of the things that the bank is always going to ask for is a cash flow forecast. Okay, by getting a cash flow forecast and extending that overdraft, it's a bit like putting a sticky plaster over the issue, right? We're not actually fixing the root causes of why they're in this cash flow position to start with. So don't get me wrong, every single business deserves to have a cash flow forecast, and it should be something that you do every single year. It's probably, well, I would say the second most important, but every year I'll be completing your annual business plan. It should be a one-page business plan. And following that, every business deserves to have a cash flow forecast as well. The difference, we should be doing it proactively instead of reactively, because we've run out of money. So that leads to number five. We need to be prepared to make process changes to fix the underlying cause of any cash flow concerns in our business, so we're not just having to go back to the bank time and time again to request more money. So the agenda for today here is what we're going to work through. Before we do crack into that, we've put some pens and paper on the desk, so I do encourage you to take any notes as we go. If you're anything like me, I know what it's like. We get back to the office, you've got 20 emails and 10 phone calls, you've got these great ideas from the session, and you go back to your desk, and if we haven't written them down, then we're going to forget them. It's just like having a business plan or having a cash flow forecast, and there's stats that prove this. If you write your goals down or you write your actions down, you're straight away more likely to actually achieve them just from having written them down. You could take that a step further, and if you write it down, then you actually tell somebody what your actions are. You go from, so if you've done nothing, you haven't written it down, you're about 10% likely to achieve it. If you write it down, you go to about 40%. If you write it down and tell somebody, you go to about 90% likely to achieve it by taking a couple of pretty simple actions. And we often refer to this thing in business that we call FTI. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of FTI before. I can have a guess as to what it might stand for. This is the biggest problem that we see in businesses. Craig, do you know what it is? Failure to implement, yeah. So failure to implement, okay? And so a lot of business owners, they know what they need to do, they just get too busy, or for whatever reason they're not focusing on the right areas. And this is again why we need to take notes as we go, because we're a lot more likely to do what we say we're going to do. So today we're going to talk about the difference between profit and cash. We've already sort of discussed profit and cash are two different things, so we're going to delve into why profit and cash are two different things. It's one thing to have profit, it's another thing to put it into our bank accounts. We're going to talk about the working capital cycle and the cash conversion cycle, so we'll look at what that is, and I want to talk about how you could calculate that in your own business. And then what could the impact in your own business be if you could shorten that cash conversion cycle? Don't worry if you don't know what that is, because we'll talk about it, but how much extra cash could that put into your business by shortening that cash conversion cycle? We're going to talk about your plan for cash flow improvement. So that might involve committing to creating a cash flow forecast and committing to 1 or 2 strategies from today to really help you in your business. I'm going to hopefully get you guys not really doing work, but we're going to do a bit of a brainstorm around the 7 causes of poor cash flow and how we can overcome them. So there'll be heaps of gold there. And then really where the rubber hits the road, what are your next steps? Some options for support from us, but what are you going to take away from today? What are you going to implement in your own business? And then hopefully some time at the end for questions as well. So I've talked about already, profit does not equal cash. So there's business owners in the room who actually reads their financial statements. Yeah, and me too. So we've got 2. I think we had maybe 5 or 6 business owners before. I forget who put their hands up. That's not uncommon. A lot of people don't read their financial statements. Often we see business owners, they just want to know how much tax they've got to pay. And who understands, don't be scared to put your hand up or leave it down, who understands the difference between profit and cash? Quentin, cool. Yep, maybe 2 of us in the room understand the difference between profit and cash. That's awesome. So we're in pretty familiar territory, and again, this is pretty normal for New Zealand business owners and employees as well. So I guess profit at a high level is what's left after you pay for all the expenses in your business. Cash, on the other hand, you've got to then use your profit to purchase assets, plant and equipment, to invest in growth in your business. Unless you're going to buy a politician or 2, you're going to have to actually pay tax out of your profits. And so really cash is all that is left after you've reinvested into growing your business and after you've paid tax as well. So I've got a couple of examples here. I'm going to put you on the spot, Quentin. So loan payments, loan principal repayments is my first example. Anybody can answer, it doesn't have to be Quentin. So let's say loan, taking a loan from Amy at NZ Home Loans, we need to pay that loan back. The principal, does that affect the profit in our business? Anyone want to hazard a guess? Looking at Quentin because you know the difference. Not sure.
It affects the cash.
What's that?
It affects the cash.
It affects the cash? Absolutely, because we're repaying the bank. You think it affects profit?
Depends when it comes out.
Depends when it comes out?
Yeah, like when it comes out in the statements, right? Doesn't the debt and all of that get sorted before the profit's been?
It doesn't affect profit. So when we repay, we get a loan from Amy at NZ Home Loans. A portion of that we repay is called interest. That interest does affect our profit. That's an expense in accounting terms. When we repay that principal, that doesn't affect our profit. And the reason that that doesn't affect our profit, I don't want to get too accountanese here, but when we receive that loan in the first place, we don't want to pay tax on that money coming into our account. So we go to Amy, we borrow 500k in our business, we don't want to pay tax on that 500k, so we can't claim tax on that 500k when we're paying it back to Amy. I'll put them up on the screen in a minute. Cash spent on assets is another example. So we need to buy some plant and equipment, we need to buy a digger for our digger hire business. Is that digger purchase of that digger going to affect our cash flow?
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Is that digger buying an asset, is that going to affect our profit?
Because of depreciation.
Good, yeah, you're going to the next step. I didn't want to go that far yet. Typically the purchase of that asset, depreciation excluded, it's not going to affect our profit, okay? We need to use our profit to purchase assets. So stop putting it on the spot. Here's a couple of examples, okay? So GST, we pay the IRD typically every 2 months. Some businesses are different. It's going to affect our cash, it's coming out of our cash, but it doesn't affect our profit and loss statement. Loan repayments, I touched on that. So this is the loan principal, it doesn't affect our profit, but absolutely it's coming out of our bank account, so it's going to affect our cash. So you start seeing here some differences between why we've got profit on our financial statements and maybe why that profit is not showing in our bank account. The same loan, we pay some interest back to the bank for the use of their money. That does come out of our profit, it does affect our profit, and it also also affects our cash. So same. If we want to buy assets, it's not going to come out of our profit. We use our profit to buy assets. Okay, so you can see it's going to affect cash, obviously. Same if we sell assets. And depreciation, really good point. Depreciation is a bit of an accounting term, so don't get too caught up. But it affects profit, and it's not actually physical cash. It's an accounting type entry that happens in our books. So you can see some differences straight away between why some businesses might have a lot of profit and then all of a sudden don't have cash in their bank account. The other thing is there can often be timing differences between profit and cash. And that's what we call the working capital cycle. Okay, so I've got a couple of examples here. For those in the room, so we're chartered accountants, we're a service provider. Quinton, you would be a service provider. Any other service providers? Yep, in the room. A couple hands going up. So this is what our, as service providers, working capital cycle would look like. Okay, so we start with cash, we hopefully start with cash. I've probably had another circle on this, to be honest, and that would be called work in progress. So somebody comes to us as accountants, they drop off their data, we start preparing their financial statements. That might take 2 weeks, it might take 4 weeks, it might take 6 weeks. So we're using cash to pay wages, to pay for software while we're preparing those financial statements, or while Quinton's preparing somebody's Google AdWords account. Once those are finished, we make a sale, okay? We invoice the client, we say, here's your financial statements. They say, thank you very much, you did a great job. And we send them an invoice, okay? That money's still not in our bank account yet, because often we have payment terms. We might invoice them today, the 13th, 14th of September, and they don't have to pay us, let's say, till the 20th of the following month. 20th of the following month rolls around, and that cash comes into our bank account. So you can see the timing there of how long it takes to turn cash into cash. Do we have anyone who's not a service provider? Yep. What do you guys do, sorry?
We sell cars.
Sell cars?
Car dealership.
Oh, cool. Awesome. So this is a different example. You can see a little bit, a couple more steps. So this is, say, a retailer or a manufacturer. So it helps explain, again, this working capital cycle. So we start with cash. The manufacturer is going to purchase stock. Often they have to the 20th of the following month to pay their supplier. So they're going to pay their supplier here. They then need to turn that stock into a finished product they're going to sell, whatever that may be, and that can take obviously a period of time. Just because it's in a finished product doesn't mean we sell it straight away. It might take a month to sell it, might take 6 months to sell it, might take a day, who knows. We make the sale, again, we receive the payment 20th of the following month, and that money comes back into our bank account, hopefully with a little bit of profit. So what I'm trying to illustrate here is this working capital cycle, and we all have this working capital cycle within our own business. And what I want to get to is a point where we could go away and say, well, what is our working capital cycle? What does it look like? And how many days does it take us to turn cash back into cash? And that's really important, and we'll get to why that is. So this is an example of that working capital cycle, and we've just added some days to it, okay, just to illustrate how you would start going about calculating your own working capital cycle. So this is a true client, it was a wholesaler, so you can see day 0. What happens if I push this button up here?
I'm not too sure, sorry.
Yep, cool, I was scared I might turn it off. So day 0, we're going to buy stock from our supplier, okay? We're lucky or not lucky, but often business practice, that supplier is going to let us pay for that stock on the 20th of the following month. That means on average, we've got 35 days to pay for that stock, okay? And cash is coming out of our business. As I said in that last example, just because we've got the stock there doesn't mean we're going to sell it on day 1. This client, we did a bit of a project and we worked out they were holding their stock for 65 days on average. Some stuff was moving faster, some stuff was moving slower. There's some things they could do to speed that up. But when we were working with them, it was a 65 day to sell their stock on average. Now, just because they've sold their stock doesn't mean they've got the money in their bank account. They were giving their clients, it was 20th of the following month payment terms, which should mean they were getting paid within an average of 35 days. If you can see, they were getting paid within an average of 45 days. That meant they had some late payers. Some of their clients were using them as a bank account, and so that had blown out a little bit. So we can take these numbers, the 65 days that we're holding the stock for, plus the 45 days it's taking us to get paid, and then we need to subtract the 35 days credit that we have from our supplier, and we come up with a cash conversion cycle of 75 days. Taking this wholesaler 75 days to turn cash into cash. Please think out if there's questions or if I'm turning it into too much accountanese. As accountants tend to speak our own language sometimes. Is that sort of clear? Any questions? No? All good? So the shorter the cycle, better the liquidity in your business, okay? So my question to you is, do you know how to calculate your own cash conversion cycle? And do you know the impact that improving your cash conversion cycle by, let's say, 15 days would have on your business? So I'll give you some metrics in a moment as to how to calculate your own cash conversion cycle to illustrate the impact that this can have by working out your cash conversion cycle and implementing one or two simple strategies to shorten it. Again, this is a real life example, so this is a manufacturer. Got some details over here so you can sort of see the size, get a sense for the size of the business. It's a typical New Zealand small medium enterprise, total sales of 1.5 million. These guys came to us to have a cash flow issue. We helped them out. It was over the course of a year. Helped them create a one-page business plan. We created a proactive cash flow forecast, not because the bank wanted it, and we wrapped some regular coaching around it to really hold them accountable and make sure they did what they said they were going to do. We implemented some simple strategies. So the first thing we looked at was their account receivable. Tell you if you don't know what account receivable debtors mean, but they were invoicing clients, and then we're implementing strategies to try and get them paid faster because their clients, again, we're using them as a bank account. We looked at their terms of trade. We tightened them up. They hadn't reviewed them for a long time, and we actually had somebody chasing those debtors. They were very sporadic at chasing them, which is quite common, scarily enough. People are scared to pick up the phone and chase their debtors. So we implemented some processes where they were actually recovering their debtors. They managed to reduce their account receivable or their debtor days by 9. Not huge, couple of simple strategies, but it made a bit of a difference. The other thing we looked at was their inventory days. So they didn't really have a process around buying inventory. They would buy inventory. They didn't know what was moving quickly. They didn't know what was moving slowly. They were buying too much of the stuff that wasn't moving anyway and not enough of the stuff that was buying quickly. So we put some process around that. Again, we worked out how often things are turning over, how often they should be buying them, and by being a bit more efficient and just a bit smarter about what inventory they were buying and when they were buying it, they were able to hold less inventory on the shelf. Inventory is like money sitting on shelves pretty much. So they're able to hold a little bit less, and they reduced their inventory days by 6. So there's a couple of simple things. We haven't generated any more sales. We haven't made any more profit in the business. This cash is already there. We just need to extract it because it's sort of been hidden in these couple of areas. So there's a couple of little changes, and they had an extra $53,000 in their bank account, which is obviously pretty, for a business of that size, is a sufficient amount and helps to relieve a lot of stress as well. Sing out again if there's any questions. I said here the cash conversion cycle. So what you need if you want to think about trying to work out your own cash conversion cycle. So if you are a manufacturer, a wholesaler, or a retailer, so you're going to need your average supplier payment terms and days. So on average, how many days does it take you to pay your supplier? You're going to need your average stock holding days. So from when you get that stock, how long is it taking you to sell it? And then you're going to need your average debtor or account receivable in plain language days. Average debtor days. So that's if you're a manufacturer, a wholesaler, or a retailer. Just give that a second just so those people writing that down can finish. Good. Feel free to take photos or if you're a service provider like we are, you're going to need to know, again, your average supplier. Average supplier payment terms and days. You're going to need to know your average work in progress days. Work in progress. So how long does it take you to start a job from, how long does it take you to finish a job from start to finish? How many days? And again, you're going to need to know your average debtor days. You can use those to calculate your own cash conversion cycle. You can use that to calculate your own cash conversion cycle. I don't want to get too accountanese again on it today, but you can work out then what would 1 day shorter, how much more dollars would that mean in your bank account? If we shorten that by 5 days, how much more money would that mean in your bank account? So it's a pretty worthwhile exercise, and more than happy to work through it with you guys, obviously after today, because everyone's businesses is so different. But if you need support, then yeah, we can sing out after today. All good there? Any questions? Cool. We've done that. So top 4 actions needed for cash flow improvement. Okay, so understand your cash flow better, prepare your cash flow forecast. As I said earlier, and I share a lot what business best practice is, what our most successful clients do and what the most successful businesses do. They all have a cash flow forecast. Of course they do. It's common sense. They all have a business plan. I haven't put that there. But we need a proactive cash flow forecast in our business. A lot of us use online accounting software nowadays, so we're big fans of Xero. Funnily enough, when we're talking about businesses who can make, I talk about businesses that make profit and can go bankrupt. You can also have businesses who make massive losses but survive because they've got war chests of cash. And Xero, the accounting software, is a classic example of that. They didn't make a profit, I'm making it up, but the first 10 odd years of business because they had a big war chest of cash. So they're a good example. Anyway, sorry. Most of us use online accounting software nowadays, so if you're building a cash flow forecast, you can throw that into your Xero, your MYOB Live, or whatever it is, and you can report your actuals versus your budget. It's not enough just to have a cash flow forecast. You need some kind of cash flow improvement plan. You need some smart, everybody knows of smart goals. You need some goals around how you're actually going to improve your cash flow. And again, best practice, as I alluded to, you need someone independent to hold you accountable to those goals, because it's going to take you from 10% success rate, if you write it down, to a 40% success rate, if you have someone hold you accountable to a 90% success rate of achieving those goals. Who's best to hold you accountable?
Accountant.
Nice, shameless plug. Anybody else?
Right to the front of the class.
Pay that $5 later.
Your business partner.
Business partner, yeah. Accountant, this is what we're doing all the time with our clients. We're setting business plans, we're catching up with them regularly, we're making sure they do what they said. It doesn't have to be your accountant, people use business coaches. What I would recommend is absolutely not using your significant other, your husband or wife. I have seen it work. I'll be lying if I said it doesn't work, but 9 times out of 10 it doesn't work, and it causes more drama. It's probably worth. Very good. So this is where hopefully we're going to get some help from you guys, and we're going to do a little bit of a brainstorm. So there's 7 key causes of poor cash flow. Okay. So number 1 is our accounts receivable process. How are we collecting our money? Our accounts payable process, how are we paying our suppliers? Maybe we're paying them too early. Is there any terms of trade differences we could have? Maybe there's terms of trade things we could make use of, like bulk payment discounts as an example. Our inventory process, having an inefficient inventory process. As I said, inventory is like money sitting on a shelf, so it can be a real killer of cash flow. Inappropriate debt or capital structure, so what are our loan structures look like? How are our loans? What are the terms of our loans, the interest rates of our loans? And capital structure, sometimes owners are just taking too much drawings out of their business, and that really hurts the business. overheads are too high, gross profit margins too low, and sales levels are too low. So we're going to brainstorm on each of these, but these are, if somebody, I don't know that you guys are struggling, but if somebody's out there struggling with cash flow, it's one or a number of these 7 things. So account receivable process. The question is, what can we do to improve our account receivable process?
Payment up front.
Does anybody not understand what account receivable process means? Everybody understands what accounts receivable means? Perfect. So we've done the work for somebody, we've invoiced them, and we want to collect our money. Trying to wrangle a bit of blue
So you're
tape.
gonna do the work yourself, get paid before you do it.
Yeah, cool. So how do we improve that, Quinton?
Terms of
Top marks.
trade.
Yep, terms of trade. So Quinton said first one, and absolutely awesome. How do we improve our account receivable process? We get payment up front. Fantastic. Not going to have any issues with accounts receivable if we've got payment up front. What else can we do? Terms of trade. So what about terms of trade?
Yeah, I guess have a tight terms of trade, so like short payment.
Like a 7-day or 14-day payment.
Yeah, something like that. Keep it short,
So yeah,
payment period short.
7-day payment period. Why not same day? 1 day.
Shorter better.
That doesn't say period, but in there.
Yeah, it's all well and good saying that, Kim says.
Why?
Because people are like, I pay on the 20th, and that's it.
Yeah. You get to choose who you work with too, though, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I know with restaurants, because I had a restaurant before, you always used to be 20th of the following, and then times got hard for a lot of people, and it went down to 14, and then went up to 7.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. So with restaurants, yes, applies to restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Direct debit, credit card.
Direct debit. So giving people multiple ways to pay you, giving them options, making paying you easy. They can do. So make it easy to get paid.
Applying penalties.
So you could do 2 seconds, direct debit, you could do a credit card, bank transfer, a bunch of different options. The more options you can give, direct debit's perfect because you take the money straight out of their account, they don't really get to say. But making it easy as well, giving people multiple options to pay you. What was that, sorry?
Applying penalties.
Yeah. Penalties to late payers.
Yeah.
My writing's horrible and I'll do better on the next slide. Cool. Anything else come to mind? Account receivable process?
Chase up late payers.
What was it, sorry?
Chase up late payers.
Yes, chase off late payers.
Chase them up sooner than late. Chase them up sooner than late.
Yeah.
Otherwise they'll be late.
Yeah. Absolutely, that's a really good one. You'd be so surprised.
Setting the standard at the front.
You'd be so surprised how many people, like I said, are too scared to actually chase people who haven't paid them.
Do you calculate the cost of offering more payment options? For example, if you accept credit cards, it will cost you.
Different
You have
businesses.
PayPal and things like TCIDs as well.
Yeah. Different businesses will do different things. I know as a customer, if I go in and I swap my credit card and they say 1% fee, I go, it doesn't bother me, whatever, I'm happy to use my credit card and get paid. I guess if we're thinking about it from a business owner's point of view, I'd be quite happy to absorb that 1% cost to get that money into my bank account. But it's going to cost you more than 1% if they don't pay, and you've got to spend, or you've got some admin person spending hours and hours chasing all this debt.
The biggest thing's that control.
Yep.
Like if you've got their credit card and you're saying I'm going to charge you every 20th of the month to get the money or direct debit,
Yeah.
you've got control to get that money. You're not having to like chase them and wait and see, and you never get paid. And
Yeah.
So I've got no issue with charging that extra 1% to clients. If you think your clients will put up with it, that's cool. But also, I'd happily absorb that 1% just to get the money in my bank account. Does that answer?
I mean, okay, you have cost, which 1% or something, but you can have additional cost like compliance.
Like what,
This
sorry?
is what I meant really, that you compliance.
Compliance?
Those regulations, I know I mentioned PCIDS and stuff, can cost you more than just the 1%. This is my point.
So you're trying to get paid from a client, and
Yeah.
compliance is going to cost.
But to accept a credit card, you have to be compliant with some rules and regulations.
Yep.
This is what I said.
Oh yeah. Yes. And I think you need to build that into your overall offering act. We need to know what is
You
the
have to
cost.
think about this process.
Yeah. What is the
At the end
cost?
of the day, you don't want to destroy price, but okay, it costs more than I
Yeah.
calculated.
Get to the end of the year and see a big bank fees or big compliance line on your profit and loss. So you need to be aware. You need to build that into your pricing for sure. What else did I have there? You can discount people for prompt payment. It's like not charging them the 1% fee. Sometimes when we do our advisory services with clients, we'll give them the options. We make it easy. Pay us up front, and we'll give you a 5% discount. Again, hey, we're giving away a bit of margin, but we've got the money in our account. We can then use it. There's an opportunity cost for having that money, and we're not having to chase it at the other end. Bill faster. That's a really good one. How many people just wait till the end of the month? We're guilty of this. I'll do a bit of work today on the 14th. For some reason, I don't bill it till the end of the month. Bill it today. Get the invoice out. Get paid for it. So we've got prompt payment discount. Invoice faster. You can get add-ons these days, like with the likes of Xero, that will chase money for you. So sometimes it doesn't even have to be you. I know Xero's got an automatic reminder things, other apps out there that tag on Data Daddy and different things that will chase some of the stuff for you. Obviously, you get to a point where you need to get a human on the phone to chase it. But
Stop
again,
sending these bloody emails.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will when you pay.
Exactly. Cool. Craig, I don't have much glue tape here, but I might get you to try and hang this up if that's okay. You can hang it somewhere. Right. Yes.
Fine, yeah.
Number 2 is the opposite of that, so account payable process. How can we use our account payable process to improve the cash within our business? How can we have a more efficient account payable process?
Negotiate longer payment terms.
Yeah. We could negotiate with our suppliers their payment terms. Keep the money in our bank account for longer. What else could we do?
Not keep as much stock, so keep the stock down, so then you're not holding so much.
Yep. I think we'll all come to stock as well, but I'll chuck it here as well. So reduce stock levels. One I mentioned before was making use of any bulk payment discounts. Sometimes you'll get a discount if you buy more, so a little bit counterintuitive because you're spending a bit more now, but you're saving more in the medium term. So prompt payment discounts. We see clients implementing like budgets, so spending budgets, not so much to do with your suppliers, but actually as a small business having spending budgets in place, so people know, your marketing team know how much they can spend and things like that. Cool. Good to see some people writing some notes down. If there's any good ideas here that you can take back, as I said at the start, it'd be great to write them all down. That's great. Inventory process. what can we do here?
Clear stock faster.
How do you do that?
Discount
Discount old
old
stock.
stock.
Nice. Clear stock faster, and one way to do that is to discount old stock, right? So we sit on our shelves for 6 months, it's not moving, we just need to get rid of it and we need to get some money in our bank account. So discount old stock.
You can make your stock variation smaller as well. So some things, you know, if you want to clean up your business a bit, don't have as much in the variety, if that's a possibility.
Yeah, so the first bit was reduce your, what was the word? Sorry?
Kind of vary your variance in stock, if it's, you know, that's the right word.
So reduce like the number of items that you
Yeah.
hold.
Yeah.
Reduce.
Order on purchase.
Yeah. Order on purchase, what's the technical term for that?
Dropshipping.
Drop shipping, order on purchase. So you're only buying the stock once your customer's already paid you for it. Obviously you're going to have other things to consider, like how long it takes you to get that stock to the client, but there are scenarios where that can work and you're using their money to buy it, so you're actually never really holding stock. Using technology is a good one here. There's a lot of good technology out there. You'll be surprised again, a lot of businesses that don't have the technology, they actually don't know how much stock they've got on the shelves. They don't have reorder levels or little bells that go off when they need to reorder, so they're relying on intuition. Sometimes they're relying on what they can see on the shelf, so technology can play a big part.
Did you see Kmart now doing the robots for inventory?
They're what, sorry?
Kmart is doing robots for inventory in the
Uh-huh.
store now.
Well, no, I didn't see that. How does it say that robots go and count the inventory?
Yeah. Probably for exactly that.
And supermarkets as well, doing that.
Yes.
Can the robots help me find stuff when I'm actually
You don't need to find it, you just find everything else you don't need.
Yeah.
Get a robot.
Get a robot. It'll be interesting with technology that will change a lot. AI.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can even see it in homes. I mean, I've seen it on the internet and that, where in your pantry, right, they've got little like weigh scales, and you've got everything on a weigh scale, and when the wheat bix gets down to a certain weight, it orders it for you, it puts it onto your shopping list for you, and so you go grab your shopping list once a week and they've already packed it at the supermarket. Like sort of probably things like this that can start helping. I've put their shrinkage controls, so what I mean by that is just having controls in place that people aren't stealing stock or wasting or damaging stock. Damaging stock is can be a huge killer in businesses. The stock you paid for is damaged or lost or whatever, and now you've got to buy it again. You can't use that first one, you can't sell that, obviously. The debt capital structure. So we're talking about our bank loans or other loans that we've got in our business. Might be like the UDC finances, the NZ home loans, might be loans from family and friends. What can we do around our debt?
Consolidate those loans.
What does that mean?
That means grouping them all together so that you've only got one interest rate and one debt. And that way you can tidy it up.
Yeah, consolidate your loans. We're also working with a client at the moment. We've got quite a big loan and they're repaying it over 5 years. So it's business sort of rates, and it's just absolutely hammering their cash flow. It's good because they're paying the loan down quickly. Absolutely hammering their cash flow every month. Things got a bit tighter for them, so we're working with the bank to try and get that pushed out for 5 to 10 years or even 15 years and just help with that monthly cash flow burden. What else can we do with debt? We can just talk to the bank. There's been a bit of movement lately with interest rates and things like that, so we can review what interest rates we're on. It was Amy, sorry, wasn't it? You'd probably tell me, but banks seem to be a bit more competitive at the moment. They're wanting people's business a little bit? Are they offering like cash contributions or anything?
They
really?
are.
They are?
Yeah.
Yep. So the market's a little bit, banks are probably wanting a bit more competitive, so you can review interest rates, you can maybe shop around a little bit, you can talk to Amy.
I mean, talking to the bank earlier is if you can, you're monitoring your finances relatively closely, you can see a trend. Always a good thing is to talk to the bank early, get in there early. Still, when it's too late, the bank's are less likely to help you out. So, option string.
Yeah.
And that's, I suppose, and get back one of the points that Pete made is about doing the business plan and have the coaching and the quarterly catch up. You soon see the trends that are happening in the business. You can say, okay, let's go and have a talk to the bank and see if we can use their money instead of someone else's. So.
They're usually pretty friendly if you're front-footing it up. That is
Yeah.
how you do that, then it comes to them too late. Not debt, but capital is the owners, so the owners of the business, and I touched on that earlier, but can review owners' drawings. Often it might start with the owner actually going away and creating a personal budget. So we've talked a bit today about having a business cash flow forecast, business budget. As an owner, you should have a personal budget as well, and you should know how much you need to live. Where can you maybe cut some personal costs if you needed to, in order to have less reliance on drawings out of the business.
Do you find that people that struggle with the drawing side of it, that they get a bit, I'll just take some more money out of the business, that they should potentially look at paying themselves a salary rather than
Definitely.
having that temptation?
Yep, absolutely. If you can structure it instead of a owner just swiping the business card for this, that, and everything, they can have a set amount that they know they need to live off. They know the business can afford it. It's $1,000 a week. It's $1,500 a week. Comes out as an automatic payment. They do all their personal spending from their personal account. Can make a huge difference. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you find that, I get, because obviously I'm on the other side of it, but lots of people will talk about, the business pays for that, the business pays for that. I'm like, do you understand
Yeah.
that is actually, from our perspective, the business doesn't pay for it, it's money
Yeah.
that is, you're taking out of your business to make that work. It's not like some magical fountain of
No.
accounting
No.
that happens that they can just charge everything to their business. But it feels like people think that.
Yeah, I get what you mean. And it depends what it is, right? Like there's certain things that they might be better to run through the business because all of a sudden they're claiming the GST and they're claiming the tax back on it as well, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
So there could be some advantages there, but you probably get other people who aren't so knowing and it is like a bit of a fountain, or they think it is, but it's all in the same pot. Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all got to come from somewhere. So hey, if you're spending it anyway, say motor vehicle, petrol, you need petrol to get to and from work, and it's a work vehicle, well you might as well run it through the business and claim some of the tax advantages. If you're just going out on the booze every weekend and swiping it on the business card, and you can't really claim that anyway, so that's where people maybe get in trouble.
AGM in Fiji.
Yeah. That's
Overheads too high. Number 5. What can we do there? So overheads, we're talking about our profit and loss now. We've got our sales, we've got our cost of sales. Below that we've got our overheads. So these are often fixed things. Insurance, rates, advertising, accounting fees, bank fees. What could we do?
I look for some alternatives.
Yeah, awesome. Alternatives for,
Cheaper account power.
what's that, sorry?
Internet power, another salesperson.
Yeah, internet.
Shop
So
around.
you can shop around. Internet, power, phone. You'd be surprised if once a year you can call your internet or your phone provider and we'll call other options and ask what they can do for you. You can save a few $1,000s. Would you say, Quentin?
It's just thinking the chain.
He said you could get a cheaper accountant.
Don't do that.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
If you think of your accountant as an overhead or as an expense, then yeah, absolutely, you should try and get a cheaper deal. If you think of your accountant as someone that you want to invest with, or someone who can work on your business with you, help you create a business plan, help you improve the cash flow cycles in your business, then you should think of your accountant as an investment, and you should probably spend more.
Just like advertising.
Yeah, just like advertising.
Just like advertising. Overheads is one, like you're not going to get heaps of gains. We often talk to our clients about, hey, you should review your overheads once a year, go through line by line and see what you're paying. Often we pay for subscriptions that we no longer need and things like that. Do it once a year, don't spend too much time. You might spend a bit of time, you save 10 grand and that's cool, but really the bigger gains are going to be the other areas that we're talking about. You got to work hard to save small amounts of money down here in overheads. And conscious of time, we've got about 6 minutes left, we're almost there. So number 6, we're moving up the P&L for those who are familiar with a profit and loss statement, but maybe our margins are too low. So we're making a sale, we've got costs going into that sale, whether it's labour or materials, and our margins just aren't high enough. What could we do?
Charge more. Charge more.
Charge more. We've got to increase our prices. Inflation's at, what is it?
I think it's about 3.8 something last
Cool.
year.
Thought it was more, but it might have dropped a little bit, eh? Gross profit.
You could restructure, get rid of a few staff, make it a bit leaner.
Yeah, restructure. Not a nice thing to do, but sometimes something that you have to do. You could increase your prices.
6% it was in July.
Yeah. So I'd say as a business owner, we're in an inflationary environment. If you haven't increased your prices by 6% over the last year, then you're going backwards. We need to be doing this. We're in an inflationary environment. There's probably things we need to be looking at. Use systems, so we can try and promote efficiency. How can we get more revenue from the same resources, efficiencies, technology? Any other ideas from the floor? One for suppliers, capture and build time better. I know as an accountant there's a lot of time that gets spent that when you get to the end you go, can't really bill that because we haven't told the client or we haven't got agreement and sort of wasted time. So actually capturing time, communicating that and being able to bill it.
Lawyers are great at that.
What's that?
Lawyers are great at that.
Always very good
We
at that.
have to. It's not a choice. We also write off a lot.
Yeah. And 7, but definitely not last, sales levels would be too low. So there are a few ways, I'll just rattle them off because of the time. Most of us who are already in business, we're lucky enough to already have customers. So sales too low. So if you've already got customers, you'll probably tell me, how much cheaper to sell to an existing customer than get a new customer?
Who knows?
7 times cheaper,
Yeah.
6 times cheaper, somewhere there. So we could increase our retention rate. How do we surprise and delight our existing clients and make sure they stay clients?
Sell more to them.
Yep. So we want to increase our sales. The second thing we could do is we could generate more leads. We could use Quinton and Unbound to do some marketing for us. We could get on social, we could do the Google AdWords, we could have referral programs. Referrals are often one of the biggest sources of new leads. So how can we ask our existing clients, our raving fans, for referrals? Once we've got leads, we could convert more leads. A lot of businesses don't actually track what their conversion rate is. A lot of businesses will get a lead, send them something, and then never follow them up. So how can we use systems and things again to convert more leads? Increasing sales, so we can increase our transaction value. So that's the McDonald's sort of a theory. Do you want fries with that? what other services can we cross-sell? Do our clients even know all the services that we offer? You'd be surprised if you actually just let your clients know everything that you offer. They might be going somewhere else and getting some of those services. And the last one, number 5, increase transaction frequency. Don't mind my spelling, but increase transaction frequency. So how often are our clients buying with us? Once or twice a year. How can we increase that to 2 or 3 times a year? How can we get them coming back to us more and more? Cool. There's a lot of information there, shotgun of information. I see a lot of people busily writing notes, so I hope you have taken a good few points away, a bit of learning and something to implement in your own business. A couple of offers of support here if you want it from us. We've got a cash flow and profit improvement meeting. It's a 90-minute meeting. We charge $595 plus GST. I guarantee you come out of that with 10 times that, at least 5-6 grand in value, if not more. And that's, for us, is all about looking at some of these things we've talked about, these causes of poor cash flow, the conversion cycles, and working out where the hidden money in your business is, and coming up with some strategies, 1 or 2 strategies to get that money into your bank account. We can do everything that we've talked about. As I've said, we help with a lot of business planning, cash flow forecasting, and things like that. I haven't put all that up there. What I think is best is, if you need help with your cash flow forecasting or your business planning, which every business should have these things, we're more than happy to have a complimentary free meeting. Come in, we can assess where you're at, we can have a chat, get to know you, you can get to know us, and we can work out the best way forward for you. I did put in cash flow management coaching, but as I say, complimentary meeting, and we can sort of go from there. Next steps, I know it's 1:30. I do have an evaluation form. I'd really love it if you could take 2 minutes just to quickly fill that in for me. Please don't forget to put your name on the top. People always forget to put their names on the top. It's really good for us just to know how the content lands, what else you might want to see in future, any topic requests or anything like that. There's a spot on there to identify a couple of actions that you're going to take from today. And then a little note, will you do nothing, go back to your desk, be comfortable, do nothing from today. You can retreat, you can go backwards. You can take a little bit of action, or what I hope people do is take 1 or 2 actions, take massive amounts of action with it, really implement something in your business to make your cash flow and your business life better. It is 1:30, so if you've got to go, please do. I'll hang around, so if anybody wants to hang around and ask any questions or have a yarn, please feel free. Otherwise, it is 1:30.